how is it possible to eat more food and lose more weight? So in this video, I'm going to explain a little bit more in depth on metabolic priming, what we currently specialize in as a company. So if you're a returning subscriber, this video is for you. I know a lot of guys get questions about how are your clients losing all this weight and eating more food? Like, how is this even possible? Like, what is the science behind it? And today I want to get you guys a little bit different of a perspective. We typically talk about like the science of things on these channels, just like understanding how it works. But I want to give you more of a broad perspective on how it works, particularly for the guys who do follow me and subscribe to my channel. If you're new to the channel, what's going on? My name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online metabolic specialist, and I specialize in manipulation of cellular metabolism with nutrition. We've helped almost 1,000 guys in 7 different countries amongst our client success team so far. And yeah, we get damn good results. So anyways, like I said, for the guys who are returning, I know you had a lot of questions about how this works. And so I want to break it down for you. And if you are somebody who wants the extra help, there will be a link below to join the program. There's over 275 current clients in our program, and we have a damn good time. So like, if you are looking to get to next level shape and get everything just taken off your hands, the link will be down below. Describe a little bit about what it's about. But anyways, with that being said, let's get into this video. So I'll get a lot of questions on like, how is this possible? Like, how are your clients eating more food and losing more weight? Like, that doesn't make much sense. And if you've seen our testimonials, we have almost 40 on our page right now, and each one of them will tell you in these testimonials, like I didn't get it. Like when I was eating more food and the weight just kept going down. In almost every single one of them, because I particularly asked like in those testimonial videos, I'm like, what'd you think like when I told you, hey, we're gonna eat more food? And they're like, oh, I thought you were crazy. And yeah, like I get it. It does go against like what you've been taught up until this point. But that's why this is important to know and important to note. So if you don't know what metabolic priming is and you're new to the channel, there's a million different videos on metabolic priming on my channel that I implore you to go watch. But this is more along the lines of showing you the typical 3 outcomes that we get and then where we should be most focused, right? And a couple questions that I do get as well. So the 3 outcomes of the metabolic priming phase, and if you don't know, a brief description of the metabolic priming phase is us really starting to gradually improve our metabolism. When we talk about improving our metabolism, we're not talking about boosting metabolism. We're getting our metabolism to be used more. We're talking about metabolic efficiency, mitochondrial energy production, and strengthening the powerhouse of the cell for ATP production so we can use more energy, okay? So typically we have 3 outcomes, right? That really happens with the metabolic priming phase, and I want to describe each one of them. So most men who will come to us, or this might be you, who you followed a low-carb diet, low-calorie diet for like years now, and you're just kind of stuck spinning your wheels, and it feels like every time you eat food, you gain rapid weight super quickly. Well, you just have shot your metabolism over years of dieting, and it can lead to health complications transparently. But what we want to be focused on is really the concept of why this is important, right? So like when most men come to us, they come to us under 2,000 calories. And first of all, if you're a man under 2,000 calories, you are not eating very much, man. Like we got to get your calories up because 1, it's not healthy. 2, more energy allows your body to recover quicker, have more energy, just more mental focus, be present, just quality of life is better, which is obviously what's most important. Like my guys, when they come to me for specific reasons. 1, because they want to get in next level physique, next level shape, just refuse to be average. They want to be good role models for their families, good role models for their kids, and they want their kids to look up to them, right? And this is important to note because this is the motivation why people come to us. People struggle with this tremendously, with just finding the correct structure to their nutrition and their training when it's very simple when you start to break it down. Yes, it comes in a customized, you have to customize it in a way where it makes sense to the individual, because with metabolic priming in general, it's very customized to the individual based upon certain KPIs, macronutrient adjustments. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is that like, do not sit there for years on end and be under 2,000 calories because your quality of life is slowly starting to diminish, and the quality of the man you are is just slowly starting to diminish as well. We've had guys come to us with 1,500 calories, 1,200 calories, 800 calories, and like it's just detrimental. Like I hate to see it because life can be so much better without starving yourself. But I digress. What we want to understand is that like when guys come to us around 2,000 calories, right around here, we have two options, right? We can raise calories, we can lower calories. So let's outweigh the options. So the option one is at 2,000 calories, we go to 1,800 calories. We go to 16, we go to 15, we go to 12. Now our body's highly inflamed. It's, pouring cortisol. You're stressed on top of that. Your sleep's terrible. Sex drive's probably terrible. Like the gut inflammation's terrible. Like it feels like that's where like the pot belly or the beer belly comes from. And like you're just digging yourself a deeper hole, because what is really happening is your metabolism's crashed. Like you've crashed your metabolism over years of dieting. So what do we have to do? And this is what metabolic priming is. We have to precondition the metabolism to use the metabolism more, to become more energy efficient, right? So we're starting to raise these calories right here. And over time, as you start to raise calories, obviously, yes, your metabolism can be improved. Because people think, or men in general, think that like as you age that your metabolism starts to decline. Well, that's not typically true. What's happened over time is that society's gotten lazier, or transportation in the 21st century has gotten easier to utilize, and people have been eating more calories, right? Because people gain weight by eating calories, okay? And you lose weight by eating calories to a certain extent. You might be one of those guys who's like lost 70 pounds just eating less food. With the guys come to me, a lot of guys will come to me, it's like, oh yes, I lost 70 pounds with a low carb diet. We hate on low carb diets so hard in our community. It's hilarious. But like what's really happened there is that really what's happened is that you low carb didn't save your life. Calorie restriction saved your life. And in a certain sense, when you start to down-regulate and start to eat less calories, what happens to your metabolism is that your metabolism follows those calories down with you. And so at a certain point, we hit that like bottom end right here. So let's talk about the three outcomes that we typically do see. So like one, we could stay at the current calories that we're at. Deficit shrinks. Your calorie deficit gets smaller as well as your TDE gets lower over time once you start to eat. And like when we start to eat less, right, our body starts to down-regulate our metabolism to be used less because it thinks that it's starving. It's a survival mechanism in food times of scarcity. That's just the reality. Like it happens to everybody. Obviously, there's ways you can prevent it with like higher muscle tissue, carbohydrate refeeds, and like that stuff that we teach our clients in our program. But like what you need to understand is that like it is a one-way street, okay? So like these low-carb diets is a one-way street. You get down to the end of the street, you got to turn around at some point, okay? But anyways, the three outcomes that we see with raising these calories, okay? So first of all, note that each one of these clients obviously has seen incredible progress, right? Extremely lean. Like I said, this is why guys come to us. But the journey's always different. And that's typically why we're, what sets us apart from any other company on the internet is that we understand like the periodic changes, the data adjustments, and the week-to-week changes that need to be made to specify and customize to each individual. So like the first outcome that we see is my client Darren here, right? Where like one, we implement a higher caloric amount, right? And why we want to implement a higher caloric amount is because this is kind of how it works. Right, so it's like as your calorie intake decreased to 1,800 and we can spike that to 2,200, we can also raise your metabolism so that we are actually in a deficit eating more, because your metabolism is the net of all cellular processes. And if we start to get lower cortisol levels and we start to optimize digestion, your metabolism will burn more food. So we can eat a higher amounts of food and still, quote unquote, be in a deficit without lowering food. It's extremely important to note because most people think it's just lower food, raise cardio, lower food, raise cardio. That's not always the case. You got to implement, understand like cortisol, inflammation, recovery, and so in a lot of cases you can lower cardio and raise food and lose weight, and it's perfectly. It happens very, very, very often with us. And like this is why is because we're creating actually another deficit by eating more food and getting the metabolism to be utilized more, be more efficient, burn more calories without doing more cardio. Anyways, typically what happens when we do this is we'll have clients that come to us and very quickly they'll drop a lot of weight, right? Digestion's improving, it's starting to get better. And I want to cover a little bit more in depth about digestion right here, like two food types and digestive types. But like this is the biggest thing we see. So we see a typical really good drop in weight, and then what happens is we start to actually slowly increase in weight. So what most guys do when they get to like this point right here, and they start to your weight starts to raise up, they freak out. Oh no, I'm gaining weight. I got to get in a bigger deficit, and so they lower food again. What we do is, we actually start keep raising the food a little bit so we can prepare the metabolism a little bit further, because what we track is body composition. We don't track weight as a gauge of progress, because it's not a gauge of progress. Body composition is a gauge of progress. So as we start to get up there, what are we doing? We are creating what's called leverage, right? And when you think about leverage, this is why it's important to note. As we get Darren back up to 3,000 calories and we're doing minimal cardio, what are we doing right here? We're utilizing his metabolism to burn more calories more than lowering food, okay? So now that we have this, look how much leverage we have in the form of calories and cardio. This is how you get really, really lean. You have more to work with. So most guys will hit this point right here and turn around. We want to make sure that we can get our clients up as high in calories without gaining body fat. And that's the biggest caveat, because most people will hear this and they'll go try it and they'll gain a shit ton of body fat. They'll come back and they'll comment on my video oh, this strategy just made me fat. This strategy just made me gain weight. Well, you've got to understand, you can't just pour calories onto your body extremely fast. You have to inch it in. And there's a strategy that you can do, that you can put small amounts of carbohydrates into your diet every week to raise your TDEE, right? And so the goal is, how high can we get your calories without gaining body fat? That's the goal with the metabolic priming phase. So some clients will lose a lot of weight, gain a little bit of weight, and this is, it's a mindset thing too. Is that we have to tell our clients is we have to. This is why we track physical progress. We show them side by sides, and we're hey, you're still progressing in your physique. You're getting stronger, because in reality, what's happening right here is that he's gaining muscle tissue. He's getting leaner and gaining muscle tissue. But now when we have those 3,000 calories, look how fast this goes down, right? It's off to the races once we have the leverage we need to have a successful fat loss phase. Boom, we're all the way back down, right? And it creates not only better sustainability long term, it is easier because you're less hungry. It's just more sustainable in general, just because you're not starving, you're eating what you want, you just eat less very slightly, and then we adjust it each week. So outcome number 2 is our client Seth here. This is a 50-pound transformation. Comes to us, implement good macronutrients, set his calories a little bit higher, and we start raising his calories, and he just keeps losing weight. He actually never stopped losing weight. So what happened here is that we kept his body in a deficit. We've kept his TDEE higher than his calorie intake the whole time. He got up to 3,800 calories, 1,500 calories more, and he was down 25 pounds. And this is where people get confused and scratch their head with our process. It's how does this work? There's no way that's possible. You can go and check out all of our testimonials, check out what Seth said himself. It's possible, it works. And this is how, we're creating deficits with your metabolism rather than creating deficits with less food. So what happens is we get them up to, that 3,800 calorie mark, right? So we drop cardio, get him up to that 3,800 calorie mark. He's down 25 pounds. Now look how much calories we have to take away from, and look how much cardio we have to add. So from here, you can see this tiny weight spike right here. That's how we knew. It's okay, he's ready. He's ready. His metabolic priming phase is done. He's ready for a cut. We drop the calories, and then boom, down to the races, right? Drops a crap ton of weight. And this is how he got, as shredded as he did. Outcome number 3 is our client Joe here. So obviously crazy transformation, right? Really, really lean. Got well under 10% body fat. What happens here, and this is typical too, and I know it's hard to see it when you're in it, but when you're looking at it from a third perspective view, it starts to make a lot more sense. So like, yes, he actually gained about 5 to 6 pounds during this time, right? And this is the outcome 3 that we typically see. I'd say we see this a little less often. Mostly what we'll typically see is like outcome 1 and 2. But what happens during this point is that he's gaining muscle tissue. And a lot of the tissue that you see that's prominent right here within his abs was built during this time. Because notice on the left where he started, he's like kind of soft. He doesn't have any muscle protrusion. Like the more muscle that he has, the leaner he can appear. So think about how we're underneath what's going on right, like on the left. We are strengthening the foundation of what to be the cutting phase. And so when we cut it away, like this is what we get, like a really well-defined ab structure, oblique structure. And by all means, like you think he's eating like 2,500 calories here. Like he's eating more on the right hand photo than the left hand photo. So put that into context as well. But we were able to get him back up to, I believe, around the 3,200 calorie mark, right? We got his metabolism up right here. And then, yeah, he started to gain a little bit of weight. But like side-by-side photos were incredible, right? We were like, hey, like side-by-side photos are good. Like I know we're gaining a little bit of weight, but you're here to reach a next level physique, like foundation. And we're doing that, right? So like we weren't too worried about the weight. And we'll have guys come to us who are in a 1,200 calorie or 1,200 calories per day. They're like, oh, I don't want to gain any weight. I don't want to gain any weight. Rarely do people gain weight with us unless it's like very, very clear it's from muscle tissue. I would say typically 90% of the guys that we work with lose weight when eating more food. This is like more of a uncommon scenario when guys slowly start to gain muscle tissue. But here's the thing, is that we've got to be understanding like what's the whole goal here is to get lean and stay lean. So now we prime his metabolism up to that 3,200 calorie mark. We drop the calories slowly and then look how much leverage we have to get him this lean. It's because we had all of this calories to work with right here. We had all of this cardio to work with right here. Now, are we going to go and when he starts just drop him to 2,000 calories and raise this to 50? No, because your body's going to fight back and the metabolic adaptation is going to be quicker. What we do is micro adjustments each week as he checks in. Like we might do a 100 calorie decrease 1 week. We might do a 10-minute cardio increase 1 week. And we slowly adjust these each week so we can mitigate metabolic downregulation, and we can mitigate cortisol. We can mitigate hunger hormones and have him feel more satiated during his cut. Like you'll notice a lot of the guys that come to us in our testimonials are like, oh, I was honestly the easiest thing I've ever done. Well, it's because like we structure it that way and we make the adjustments to make you comfortable. So those are like the 3 outcomes that we typically get. And like keep in mind, like all of these guys are still like very lean, right? Like they've sustained this physique, which is important because our program's 6 months long. Like our goal after the end of the 6 months is to allow our clients to stay lean for life, right? This is a one-stop shop for the last program anybody will ever need. So if you're interested, links down below. Don't miss out. Don't wait. We're a damn fun group of guys to work with, and we get damn good results. I digress. How many calories? This is what I get a lot, right? Some of the questions that I do get are around the calories and kind of food types. So we track macronutrients. We don't track calories. And I specifically tell our clients, I'm like, hey, don't worry about calories. We're not worried about calories. If you try to track calories and macronutrients, you'll never hit the targets. Because calories, like, there's insoluble fibers, sugar alcohols in calories that don't count as a macronutrient. So, like, there's always going to be an inaccuracy between the two. I tell our clients, hey, just track macros. Do not worry about the calories. You'll notice some days if we track the macros, it'll go over on your calories. That's fine. Like that's what we want. Why do we track macronutrients? Because macronutrients correlate to your health markers, your biomarkers. They correlate to your physique and how it looks, and that you can make micro adjustments by adjusting like macronutrients rather than adjusting calories. So if we break it down, macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. Influence the body by providing energy for metabolism, building and repairing tissue, influencing fat and muscle mass. Proteins vital for muscle synthesis, yep. So, like, basically, macronutrients affect body composition. And if you want to, like, zoom in on this and read this, it's very simple. Protein is essential for bearing tissues. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred energy source, and fats are a concentrated source of energy and essential for providing hormones supporting cell membrane function and aiding in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Right, so improving body composition and muscle preservation is important to note as well. Is that like tracking these macronutrients, we can best support metabolic rate, long-term weight control, and sustain energy and blood sugar levels. So like when you look at like Joe right here, is that like he would not have made as great progress right here if we like degraded all of this muscle tissue and like dropped him too low in calories where his body was starving and started to lose muscle tissue. What most guys will do is they'll eat that 1,800 calories, they'll start to lose muscle tissue. They just look the exact same, and maybe in some cases even worse. What happened over time is they've crashed their metabolism. They eat a little bit more calories on a Friday night dinner on vacation, and boom, their weight flies up, right? It's a never-ending cycle. But why we do this is because we teach our clients something that's called the flexible dieting lifestyle, which means that like you can eat whatever foods you want. We have guys eating bagels, muffins. We have a food channel in our group, so it's like guys who have will post their like meals in that group to show everybody what they've been eating. And like honestly, like none of the guys think they're dieting, and that's important to note because psychologically you want to feel like you're not dieting. Guys learn this flexible dieting process in about 3 days when they get into our program. But those 3 days and what they learn in those 3 days is going to be the reason they sustain this for life. That's why the program's set up the way it is. Because every food on the world has a macronutrient balance on it, and if you start to understand the macronutrient balance, you can have whatever you like, right? So it's important to know. But you can optimize the body for one metabolic pathway, which we've talked about in other videos. Won't get too much into that today. And then we can allow for micro adjustments, right? So I'll show you a little bit in a second with Andrew what these micro adjustments do look like. But what types of carbs do I prefer, or what types of carbs should I eat? Okay, guys. So like easy way to put it is it does not matter. It does not matter what types of carbs that you eat. You can eat whatever carbs that you want. What matters is the macronutrients. That's why we teach flexible dieting. So guys will comment on the channel and be like, what types of food should I eat? What types of carbs should I eat? What time should I eat? None of that matters. None of it matters. What matters is your digestion, okay? So the caveat behind the question in general is how well is your digestion holding up? So like for instance, is if like you're a guy who comes in the program, you're eating, but you love bagels. Bagels is your morning snack to go to. Like that's what you love eating. You can eat bagels, but like if we start to have digestive issues around that bagel, we might suggest you switching to something more palatable, maybe like jasmine rice. But like for instance, we have guys in our program who wake up and have the Kodiak cake pancakes with syrup, peanut butter. We have guys who, will eat the Rice Krispie treats before the gym. Like, it doesn't matter what you eat as long as your digestion's good, right? Because the reason is if you're having digestive issues, you just need to simplify. Keep in mind the body digests simple single ingredient foods best. Foods with high amounts of additives, seed oils, or zero-calorie sweeteners can cause digestive issues. First off, try to hyper-focus on if there's a certain meal digestion starts to falter. After this meal I feel bloated, maybe you should cut that carbohydrate out and switch that out. So, examples: meal with dairy in it, protein bars with seed oils, sauces with seed oils, zero-calorie sweeteners, and coffee, energy drinks. Cut all these additives out, extra additives out, and extra sweeteners if you're having digestive-related issues. Because the last thing we do in our program is tell our clients what to eat. Because we feel it's beneficial from a psychological perspective that our clients have control over what they eat, so they feel like they're not dieting. So trying to simplify the meals a bit, switch carbs to simple high glycemic carbohydrate sources. White rice, cream rice, fruit, rice cakes is probably the number one source of carbohydrate that I recommend that's going to be the easiest to digest. Now, can you make great progress like Joe here, eating whatever carbohydrates you want, candy if you want? Yeah, 100%. If it fits the macros, right? It's the game we play. And we like have an ongoing joke about it in our communities. Like guys will put their macronutrients at the end of the day in, and like it's fun. Like it's a lifestyle, And the thing is that like, if you're stuck right now, you're upset with the way you look in the mirror, you get winded walking up the stairs, like you just, maybe have a vacation coming up or a wedding coming up, and you're just nervous to even like be caught in photos because of how embarrassed that you look. Like, that's not a way to live, man. Like, there's a better way to do it. And I know that you think that there's like one side to doing this. It's like, I'm not the guy who's going to do, chicken and rice at 2 p.m. and work out 7 days a week. It's like, you don't have to do that, man. It's like, you got to put the right effort in the right areas. Like, we have guys working out 3 days a week. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can make exceptional progress by doing the right things. And you don't deserve to sit there the rest of your life becoming a shell of the man you used to be, and, not becoming or not being the leader of the family that I know you want to be, because your kids are watching you, your wife's watching you. They've been watching you slowly gain weight over the years, and like, it's time to like put your foot down and make a change. Like, nothing changes as nothing changes. Like, when guys schedule the call down below, their entire life changes, because guys in our program see life-changing results, like quite literally life-changing results. We can go through testimony after testimony after transformation, because we give them the freedom and the liberty of making it simple and not having, a terrible relationship with food anymore. So, like, if that's you, like, just sign up for time down below. We'll talk, me and us and the team, we'll get on a call with you. We'll break it down for you. But it's time. You've been waiting for too long. Anyways, what I want you to understand with the type of food that you eat is that it doesn't matter as long as you have good digestion. Simple is always better, but it's not always the case. Like, you don't have to. Like, I have guys that eat whatever the hell they want, and they still make amazing progress. If we start to see like a weight hold or like a certain certain foods that cause indigestion, we'll dive in and we'll say, hey, let's recommend this. But as a reminder too, the leaner you get, the more sensitive the gut microbiome becomes. If you are not having digestive issues, you do not need to change anything. So I tell my clients, if you do not have digestive issues, you do not need to change anything. We solve 100 digestive issues a week. All right. And this is why, overall, what I want you to explain today is weight is keeping you stuck. Because your whole basis off if you're making progress or not is based on a stupid number on the scale. And like, I want you to remember that, because like, a lot of guys is that they'll dictate their entire progress on how much the weight says on the scale. But you guys don't give a crap about the weight, really. You give a crap about how you look, and you're embarrassed by the way that you look, okay? But weight doesn't matter. What is going to matter is the correct plan, honestly. And like think about the guys 5 years ago who are still with me right now. They've broken the cycle. They're at their dream bodies. So what's really keeping you stuck is you analyzing the situation on what to do. Like, you don't know what to do, so you overanalyze it, and then you don't do anything at all. Like, that's what's really keeping you stuck. Like, think about how much progress you would have made if, like, you just you haven't been sitting there just, like, doing nothing and just thinking about what to do. So, anyways, this is why I say weight doesn't matter, right? So, like, the micro adjustments we make each week, it's like 25 grams, 25 grams, 25 grams, 25 grams, 25 grams. And it's not every single week. It's based upon like how our body composition is turning out. But I want you to see Andrew's progress right here. So like, this is the start of his metabolic priming phase at 177. And he ended his metabolic priming phase at 176. It's like, oh, he lost 1 pound, and trust me, like, I had to break a lot of Andrew's beliefs as well. Because he was one of the guys that's like, dude, like, I'm not losing weight. I was like, dude, your weight doesn't matter, right? Look at your photos, right? But like, here's the importance of it is that like, he is eating, let's see, he started at 2,200 calories and he got up to 2,900 calories. So 700 calorie difference, right? So like, notice the change in tissue, notice the structure. Notice how much more prominent his muscle tissue is. So yes, he's the same weight, but look how much more like defined he is. Like, he expanded his muscle tissue. Yes, he lost body fat because obviously if he's the same weight and has more muscle tissue and is stronger, then we can suspect that he lost body fat. Yeah, and like guys will lose a lot of body fat in the metabolic priming phase just by optimizing, body composition with mitochondrial energy efficiency and metabolic pathways. But like, this is important to know. It's like, this is why it's important and why I say weight doesn't matter. But like, why is this important? Why am I bringing this up? Because look what happens when we actually lower the food. He goes from 177 all the way down to, I think he was at 164. Today he's actually he hit a new low weigh-in at 164. But look at him now. Here, I'll show you. We just posted this in our channel. You guys are getting a sneak insight on our program, inside of our program. So like, yeah, notice how like much leaner he is. I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but notice how much leaner he is. Look how much his abs are poking out. He's 164 right here. 164. Okay? So it's important to note. But like, this is only possible it's because we built the structure, we gained the leverage, and then we lowered the calories. And this is why it's important. It's like, what happens during this metabolic priming phase isn't too important to us as long as we're creating, obviously we're creating momentum, we're creating habits, we're creating leverage, because when we lower this food, like, shoot, man, it's off to the races. Like, these guys lose pounds of fat, right? And this is how we see 40, 50, 60, 100-pound transformations in our program. Is because this is what's important. This is what's, fitness industry doesn't teach you. Is like how to do it properly. And yes, like transparently, it'll take a little bit longer than your keto diet that you're doing every summer before you decide to get in shape. It's not, I can't promise you it's a 30-day process. It's not, maybe not even a 60-day process. But if you want something long-term and you want something that you can sustain years down the line, this is it. So, like, transparently, you can either do it one or two ways. Each year, you can do a calorie-restrictive diet that makes you hungry, tired, angry at the family, and just irritable, or you can do it right once. And that's the kind of basis on it, right? Guys come to us for a one-stop shop on a better life and a elite physique. And I promise you that there's nobody out there right now doing it like we are. And this is why it's important. So it's like, yes, weight's like a progress that we want to track, but it's not the most important one. And like when I say weight, I'm not talking body fat. Like by all means, these guys aren't gaining body fat in their metabolic priming phase. More likely, they're gaining intramuscular water glycogen, muscle tissue, but most importantly, they're preparing them from a fat loss phase. Anyways, like I said, I want to drop this by today because I know a lot of you guys have been watching my channel for some time now. Maybe I've been on the fence. I was like, hey, dang, I really want to get in shape this year. Like this, I've been thinking about signing up. Like, now's your chance, man. Like, every day that you wait is another day you're not making progress. And, like, the thing about winners is the early adopters win in every area of life. It's like when you start first, you end first. When you start first, you make better progress than the person next to you. And if you're a guy who refuses to accept mediocrity and you want to be more than average, you want to be the man you can be, then it's time. No more waiting. So link will be down below. Hope this helped you guys today. A little bit different than the normal videos that I do. But yeah, hope this helps. See you guys later.